Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you are joining us. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedules and joining here. Most of you people are from the background of astronomy or have had the interaction with the astronomical part of it or the dark sky experience that we talk about. I'll just quickly introduce myself. Michael has already done it, but I'll just give you a background of what I have been doing. I'm currently based in India and particularly taking care of the operations in Ladakh, the Himalayan region, the northernmost portion of or the part of India. My name is Simar and I have had an opportunity of doing my studies in tourism. I've worked in multiple verticals of tourism, be it setting up homestays with the local communities, be it training them in terms of hospitality, be it setting up infrastructures for these communities and maintaining and logistically enabling them to handle all these things independently. And also, of course, I've had an opportunity of doing or give my bit into the astronomical part of it, or as we call it, the astro tourism of it. To begin with, most of you are aware, I'm pretty sure, what astrotourism depicts or what it stands for. So, astrotourism, if we talk about in scientific or journal term, it's something related to stargazing we have come up with. But I would just beg to differ here for a while because I've been working here with the community many years now. I don't even remember with them while working on these things. Uh, I think we have gathered the information that astrotourism is part of astronomy, just the 5 or 10% bit of it. Or if we call it stargazing, it's just the 5%, or I would say just 10% of it. The 90% of the entire thing, the entire experience that we talk about, it it combines, it amalgamates the experiences like culture. It come up with the heritage part of it. It comes with the stories or the folklores that the communities have stored from centuries old experiences they have had. It's the traditional part of it. It's the cuisine that you eat. If you're doing stargazing, it's of course it's a night activity. If you don't have a place to stay, if you don't have a stay where you can stay with the local community or local people, there's no point to it. So where set up all these institutions, or if we talk about the experience hub, that we have not just the stargazing we talk about. It's just not the technical bit of astronomy that we talk about. It's the combination of so many elements, as I mentioned: culture, food, lifestyle, stays, and all these things. And that's how the astrotourism for us, evolved in these many years. I'll just quickly share my deck with you all so that I can take you through the journey and you can tell me if it is visible. Just give me a second. So as I mentioned, astronomy is just not restricted to stargazing. It's much more than that. It's a nature-based what's nature-based activity, right? Just the availability of a resource in nature that we just have to look up the opportunity and just do best out of it, or take out an opportunity and just start with something that is so unique in its own sense. If we talk about particularly Ladakh, economy had not been so prominent. Like, people had always been a part of it. The elders, the locals, they've always to one another, following the star. They have always come up with the idea, okay, this is the harvesting season, by just looking at the star's position, by just looking at the position of moon and sun. And that's how the stories have always evolved, and they have had best of their lives, the best of their harvest, the best of their the life cycle that they have done. And if we mold it today, nature based activity or nature based tourism, it has evolved much more than that. We can talk about so many bigger things, right? We can talk about, oh, it's a regenerative tourism, it's a nature based tourism, it's something called night safari if we talk about. But it is much more than that, and I will take you through the journey of that. So when we started this, it was 2019. when we have already been doing some of the projects in the remotest part of Ladakh. So for people who have not traveled to Ladakh for now, Changthang region is the southernmost part of Ladakh. And people there who have been residing there are called Changpas. They are the nomads people. They have been the bearers or the father of Pashmina, the Kashmir goat, the Kashmir wool that we have known so widely across the world. These are the people who take care of their Pashmina goats and travel or migrate from one place to another because they are nomads. And we have had the chance to be there and do one of our project or one of our electrification project. I would be so precise with that. When we went to the village, it was just a village, about 14,000 feet above. The beautiful landscapes of it, if we see, there is a lake called famous among travelers worldwide, not just Indian tourists but across the globe. People come there for that landscape, that feel, that sacredness of it. People have always traveled to these places. The only thing lacking was an activity or something that the villages could be a part of or the community could be a part of. And that's Astrostays came into picture. Astrostays is basically, so is a kind of an initiative. It's a social initiative that we came up with where we wanted some of the people of the village itself to be so drivenly or so by the means, and not just in terms of job opportunities, but more of creating a culture out of it. Not just the culture that they have had been a part of, but a culture the travelers could relate to. I come from a background which is very different from Ladakh. I have been in western part of India, which is the desert part of India. If I go to Ladakh, I have to understand the bits of it, the culture of it. People there, they have already been the bearers of their culture. They have already been the bearers of their heritage. The only thing we had to do was knock, tap, and then just bring out the best out of them. So this was a small training that we did in 2019 for the entire village, and we handpicked 30 people. And when we say handpicked, it's not just we just wanted to do, okay, you are doing this, you are doing this. It was the people who were potentially, they wanted to be a part of it, they had the intentions of being a part of it. And we just clubbed them together, we got some experts, and we did a small training. And with that training came out the pilot project of Astrostays that we first set up in Man village of Ladakh, Changthang region, the southernmost region of Ladakh. So just few months of Astro stays, and we have had tasted success. So we have had travelers coming in, and they were more intrigued about it. Okay, so there is a stay that you can stay at. And what's an Astro stay? This was the question every traveler was asking. And this was basically an idea where we also wanted them to understand the basics of the the homestay culture a place can offer, as well as the astronomical unit or the cosmos part of it. And that's how we clubbed it. And travelers coming in, they started staying at the place, because to have an experience, you have to have the session at night. And if you are having a session at night, the travelers cannot go back to the places that they're staying at. You need to have a place for them to stay at. And that's how the host or the experience, we call them astro guides, for them to be a part of this entire experience. So those astro guides, they were taking them to their places, they were staying there, they were not just being part of the stargazing experience, but they were immersing in the stories that the family had to tell, be it on dinner table when you were sitting and eating there, be it while you're sleeping, you're just looking out of your window and you see, oh, these are the stars and constellations, but what do they say? So these people, they used to make them understand the very old age traditions behind those constellations, the Buddhism aspect of it. So this is one of the accommodation that you have above 14,000 feet, where you would stay, have these sessions, stay with the locals, have the cuisine, involved in their local lifestyle, and then just have the experience of your life that you have never had in your urban cities. Because we have been in the urban cities where there's a lot of light pollution. There has never been a clear sky I could see here in Delhi, for say, if you say, or any of the urban cities that you are. We also call them astropreneurs. Astropreneurs is something, we have, of course, entrepreneurs who are into their business so much. Call them astropreneurs who are a part of this big word, but in such a integrated manner that they are taking you to the journey of stars and much more beyond the stars. It's not just restricted to the stars that you're seeing or the sky that you see. It's much more beyond that. And we have always wanted to just break off that barrier of not restricted them to the journey of stars, but taking them beyond that experience or the culture. He's one of our star astronomer in Ladakh who has been a crucial part in training the ladies. Initially, he was part of we had done in 2019, and after that, he has never looked back. His family, they are now taking care of Astrostays at Pangong, and we have had multiple other astronauts. And he now trains many other ladies who have been part of the many more initiative we're going to talk about in some of the slides that we are coming up with. So these are the night skies that you see, right? And the family or the villagers. So the idea was also not to have just the experience for travelers, the villagers. So when you see it as an experience, it not just enhances your skills, it not just enhances your job opportunities in the village, but then it brings you together. When you see the kids are coming out with their mothers, when you see the elders are coming out, and every year the stories are evolving. Every year the astro guide has something new to say about. Of course you have a script that you go through, right, to be able to make the travelers more comfortable, more intrigued about the stories or stars or the cosmos that we have. But the story evolves every year. And for say I would say it evolves every month. If somebody from the village comes up and they say, okay, I've had this experience in my, the elder is talking about some of the experience they have had when they were in their early young ages. Everything was going good, and I am pretty sure everybody was struck by lockdown, the coronavirus, that the pandemic that had hit the industry. And I would say tourism industry is the biggest industry of world. And when we say about the industry, and if you're talking about astrotourism, I don't think so it is just restricted again to just the very technical or scientific form of it. You are you are just calculating the activities, you are calculating the skills that you have had, and of course you are coming up with something as big as the industry that is the evolving part of it. Lockdown hit, and when you see lockdown in villages was quite different from lockdown in urban cities. We were just finding means of finding resources in our houses, what to do, what not to, but the peace or the stableness that these villages have had back in Ladakh or different parts of India or different parts of world, if you I would say, they've had the calmness of it. So it was, something that we wanted. Okay, the pandemic will end for sure. This was the only hope we have all had. The pandemic, of course, it ended, but during that period, we have had the opportunity of these ladies coming up, and these ladies were, of course, they are the bearers of pashmina goats. They are herding them, they are taking care of them, they are the major number of the, I would say, 95% of the entire Kashmir wool that you get in Ladakh is coming from the Changthang region. And these ladies have always been a part of this entire process by using the traditional looms at their houses. But what to do next? And that's how handicraft came into picture. Why not just create something or just make something or souvenirs kind of a thing for travelers when they start coming in? Of course, the pandemic ended, and finally we began with our sessions again at Man Village when we were having sessions at Pangong Lake. These are few of the pictures that people were so happy about. You can see kids there, you can see elders there. And one thing that we have realized is, so any of the activity that we do, any of the experience that we do, it has to come out of your heart, right? And this particular experience that we have, if we talk about the dark sky experience, it has no age barrier. And that's the beauty of it. There's no barrier in terms of age, there's no experience that you are requiring, there's nothing. And that was one more thing that we were looking at, to be able to eradicate that barrier of just having the astronomers coming in, or just the, so if we just have travelers and they are coming just for the stargazing part, I would personally love to say they are just amateur astronomers. But if the travelers are coming in, They are not astronomers, they are the bridge who are basically bridging the gap between the urban areas and the experience and lifestyle they have had at their place with the villagers. And of course, in a more serene way, because villagers have a lot of, a bag full of stories that they want to convey to the world. These were a few pictures they were having. So on the backdrop that you see, it's the Pangong Lake. It's the most beautiful lake we have in Ladakh. And people say, the locals believe it has 7 colors that depicts, but we as travelers, we have seen 3 colors at maximum. If you have the chance of coming to Ladakh, please be here and just let us know how many colors that you are seeing in the lake. The entire infrastructure that you have for the community. Of course, you need a place, a secure place to keep your equipments as well. You need a place where you are bringing in the best out of your culture in terms of food, in terms of the harsh realities that you want to tell the people. So if we talk about, again, if we talk about some of the remotest regions of Ladakh, they have so harsh climates that drops till minus 30 degree, minus 35-degree, and it is really very hard for them to sustain the daily chores of their life or daily just lifestyle that they are doing. So what to bring in their lives that makes it more easy? So you see a solar water heater on your left. That's the heater. Basically, you have solar light and you can use the hot water for your entire premises that you're using. We have greenhouses where you can grow some of the vegetables, of course not all, some of the vegetables for the family or the travelers who are coming in, and provide the most organic food that they can have in their life. When we talk about Astrostays, it's basically a community center, of course we would like to call it, but there are so many elements, they have been added into it. If we talk about it, just not just takes care of the experience part of it, but it also enhances the socio-economic, the aspect of tourism. Of course, it gives you job opportunities, it brings in your more of revenue into your lives, it brings you livelihood generations and a lot more. But it also kind of bridges the socio part of it, and that's what we have been trying to do. We see the livelihood creation, of course, because when we have youth joining us, when we have ladies joining us after the entire day of daily working they are doing in their house, maybe taking care of the family or doing their daily wages as a labor in one of the road making or construction that has been happening nearby, and then they come back in the evening to have these experience with the travelers. So that's the kind of creation that you're doing. Interaction with the travelers, for sure, there are multiple stakeholders involved in it, not just the family who is doing the session, not just the village that is being a part of it, but also the drivers who bring in the travelers, also the ladies who are making the handicraft and you buy their souvenirs. So it's kind of a value chain that you create entire the premises and in the village itself, where there's just not one, two, three, four people, but multiple stakeholders involved in it. You're taking care of sustainable tourism, for sure. It is the most, you are not polluting the sky, you're not polluting the environment, you're just taking the best use of what nature provides us. And stars have been provided so naturally, and it's just the natural form of resource that you can have. We have just tapped in and used the opportunity. Of course, the indigenous homestays that come up with, so each of the homestay that you find, Astrostays, all these homestays are solar powered. You have solar light in those houses, you have solar water heaters, you have greenhouses where you have organic food, you use reusable amenities only, you avoid single use plastics, and just the nuances of these sustainable tourism aspects in a homestay, where you can, of course, not add to the pollution, not minimize, but keep it somewhere neutral. So we call them carbon neutral homestays. You have, of course, you're taking care of the scientific temper. When the villagers are coming, the elders are coming, they are not just having the, they are not just, taking care of the conflicts that you might have had anywhere in your life, but also creating a harmony amongst the villagers when they come up together with the stories and documenting everything. And of course, women empowerment. So when we say women empowerment, these initiatives have never been just driven to women. They have been irrespective of any gender, these initiatives have come up. But of course, women have been the most crucial part of it, because they are usually, during their daytime they are free, and the evening they are the most suitable people who can come back after, doing their entire work, and then having that interaction with travelers and conducting those sessions. So combining all, the Astrostays came out into picture and has been running since 2019, and we have had more than, and I'm very glad to say that we have had more than 5,000 travelers since we have had Astrostays, and they have been from all parts of the globe. Can you see my screen? Actually, I'm not being able to.
Yes. Yeah, you use that arrow there.
Yes, yes. Now, okay. So going forward, I know there's a lot of things that I have to say, or I am just sharing with you all. But this has been the experience so far with me, because I've been so closely involved with them. Since I've completed my degrees, I've completed my studies, I've been always working with them. And I've realized over the period of time that if you give something to these communities, you are not empowering them, you are just enabling them. Of course, you're empowering them for sure, but you're not giving them a means. They've always had this treasure of their culture, they've always had this treasure of their heritage stored in them. They just needed someone to, just let them know and just let it out in all aspects. And that's how, like, we realized that looking at the sky was not enough. There was more to it, there was something that we were missing, and we had to add to it. That's how, coming to 2021, after COVID, we came up with Cosmo Hub. Cosmo Hub is basically a small setup that we have, and it's not just stay cuisine. It is on a wider, picture that we intended to do it, but then it came out to be something different. And I'll just slowly take you to the journey of Cosmo Hub. So Cosmo Hub was something that we were looking for travelers, because whenever you're coming to Ladakh, usually the second day of your travel or your itinerary, and the last day when you have to fly out, you're usually looking for activities that are, more interested to you and you can be a part of, because daytime is over. What to do at the night time? So we came up with a Cosmo Hub. It is very near to the main late town where people are usually coming at. But how to start it? This was women led. There was a small group that was already doing some of their, fantastic work in terms of handicrafts, making their edibles, making their for example, sea buckthorn juice jam, and all these things. It was women led, of course. From technology to tourism, and I would just like to give you a background of these trainees that we have had and these communities. Not all come from strong academic background. They have always been maybe studied till some of the classes, or maybe have not joined school at all. And that's the harsh reality of their background they have had been. But that should not restrict us. That should not be the factor that, stops you from training or providing a skill to someone who has never been a part of this entire technical aspect of it. So we started training them, and that's how technology turned into tourism. And you see the pictures where is a lady, she's taking care of a telescope, which is a professional 10 inches dopsonium, and other one who's traveling, who's interacting with travelers and making them understand what exactly, the entire Cosmo Hub stands for. So the poster that you see on your right side, this is basically a Tibetan cosmology poster. We have a small astro museum where we give them a tour of um, what is the ancient ways of cosmology that our elders have had, in comparison to what is the modern scientific experience that we have, or the knowledge that we have today. So you see the poster, there is a 12 sign picture, and those 12 signs depicts the 12 months of the calendar. But Buddhism calendar or the Tibetan calendar is completely different from what we have today in our houses or in our homes. And these 12 months, they depict the characteristics of a person. They depict how your future is going to be. If you're born in a particular month, you might be a tiger, you might be a dragon, and that's how your characteristics come out as per the Buddhism beliefs. And people are so intrigued about knowing, okay, I was born in this month, what will I be, or what will my characteristics stand as? And people are more involved into this comparison kind of a thing that we have created at Astro Museum. And that's how people go on with the entire session that goes around. You see the monastery over there. It's around 700 years old monastery in Ladakh. One of the uh, I would say one of the ancient murals that you would find in Ladakh is in this monastery. And these fresco paintings that you see, they are old, 700 years old. They have been built or they have been made by the natural colors, which you do not find today. So you take them to their cultural journey, you take them to that spiritual journey, and you not just connect stars, but you also connect through spirituality. You can talk to the monks over there, you can know about their lifestyle. And I think that's the gap that you fill in between, where you are not just coming for the experience that you wanted to have, but also connecting the dots or the missing parts in your life, or where you wanted to travel to Ladakh and you have not known that unknown side of that region. That's how you bring in that the bridge or the gap, you lessen the gap between both these aspects. You see the lady, she's taking care of the telescope, she's basically aligning it with one of the brightest star, and that's how it will be aligned, and the travelers can come in and have the experience. The cultural heritage and the walkthrough of the journey of the paintings, the monastery, and the lifestyle, the stories that come from the village, the stories that these ladies or these communities or these villages hold, they just open up with travelers, and travelers are more than happy to be welcomed by such warmth, hospitality, and such stories that they have never known in their life. Of course, it's more of stories and stargazing, not just stargazing, but combination of both. These are the posters that you can go through, where you we have always known. So I have studied astronomy when I was in school. You all might have studied some of the parts of these astronomical bits of it, but just memorizing or just bringing the beauty of these stars that they hold, and then just have a zoomed in view of what we see outside in the sky. That's the idea of creating these astro museum for travelers. And of course, happy tummy is one thing that we have always believed in. And of course, we Indians have always focused on food. And that's how we end it. We give you the Cosmo Hub is all about, the immersion of all these elements. And then finally having a traditional cuisine that is being prepared by the ladies, the Ladakhi cuisine, I would say. And then you go happy tummies. This is one of the picture. The ladies are preparing for all the food that you are going to have, or you be a part of that entire thing. So the Ladakhi food, if I talk about, I'll just give you some of the facts also in between, so that you're more interested in coming to Ladakh someday, some year, some month, whenever you are ready to. So these the Ladakhi food that we usually have, this is very bland, I would say, for us also. Coming from India, the other part of India, we would not like such very bland food or without just salt or anything. So these ladies have come up with such a beautiful idea of fusing the Ladakhi dishes, where your taste buds are not so upset about not having the food that we have back at our places. So these are some sandwiches that you see, the travelers are enjoying the food, and then you come up with the stories on dining table. And that's the place where maximum of your stories, the maximum of your the hidden or the part of you comes out, where you have never imagined that you would open up so much. And this has not been just the part for travelers where they open up, but for the ladies also, because these people, the villagers, they have always been inside their cocoon. The villagers have never had a chance of being able to interact with the travelers, but this is a place where you come in contact with travelers, you interact with them, okay, so this part also exists in the world. And they have come out from such a different background. And that's how you lay the table of your yummy food, as well as the plate of your stories in front of each other. So this is one of the beautiful picture of the ladies who take care of these entire sessions along with the travelers. You can also see towards the extreme rights, that's our driver Acho, the one person, or there are many other people also, but he was there on that day. And that's how you are creating a chain for everyone where they come up together, and you are just not creating, experience for travelers, but you're creating more and more opportunities for different people who are just involved in it, directly or indirectly, in terms of revenue making, in terms of experience providing, in terms of information and everything. Small souvenir shop where you can buy some of the products that are being prepared by the ladies, the handicraft products, the edibles you can see on backside. These are all organic products that you can take back, and give it to your loved ones. And just, this is a proof that you have been to Cosmo Hub, and a proof that you have come to Ladakh and taken back something for yourself. When we come to the handicraft aspect of it, so as we mentioned, like, it was not just the experience, DarkSky experience, that we wanted to give. This was not just, one of the things that we wanted to create in terms of job opportunities, but more of a widened aspect of it. Because tourism, when we talk about, is not just one aspect. There are thousands other verticals that we have been unaware about. Personally, I have been so unaware about, but working with them so closely, I've come up with so many things that, that this could have been involved in this and built with this. And that's how you are making something so magnificent that travelers are coming again and again, and they want to be a part of the entire thing. And that's how handicraft opportunities came into picture. We have always known that the traditional, or the elders of our, the my grandfather, my grandmother, or anyone who has joined us today, they've always been part of these knitting, spinning, and all these opportunities that they have had. Ladakh also has traditional kind of setups for themselves. The idea for them to be able to create mini ventures for them. So when we talk about mini ventures, they can come out from their traditional and time taking the process of making handicrafts, and come up with a simpler form of it and provide the best out of it. So you're creating opportunities in terms of handicraft as well. The traceability of it, the only issue with these villages or the communities that we work in any part of the world, they have always been so remote that they've never had the opportunity of, of course, interacting with travelers. But there was no network at all. There was nothing that we, they can know about the market linkage part of it, or they can know about the wider aspect of creating something, opportunities for themselves. So when we say it's a self-sustaining model, when we say all these words, they do not understand that. So that was the idea for them to come up with the handicrafts that they are making, and then to create something for themselves that's self-sustaining. And that's how we came up with an idea of tracing the entire, the every handicraft that is being given by or sold by these ladies are traceable. If you buy one of the product from any of the lady, there's a name, there's a date, there is a village written on that, and you can come back to those ladies or that particular person, and you can take back the handicraft, and you can have a direct connection with them, and they are benefited directly. And that's how you create the opportunities for themselves. But of course, they were not being able to, and that's how the handicraft trainings and everything came into picture, and that's how they started their entire journey of making the small handicraft ventures. So these are the shops that we have, where you can put up your the handicrafts, and then you can have your souvenirs kept over there, and the travelers can buy them directly, and then have the essence of, or the entire process of making these handicrafts available, not just restricting to the shops, of course, then making. Recently there was National Handloom Day in Ladakh. It was celebrated from 7th to 14th of this month, and the ladies or the villagers or people who have had been working in this handicraft or handlooms part of it, they have come up from all parts of Ladakh. They had put up their stalls, and that's how these ladies are also getting exposures in terms of setting up the stalls, interacting with many more travelers beyond these things. These are the impact numbers that you see. So 2024 is still running. and you would just see these numbers doubled up in this year. So we haven't put 2024 of data, but you see the impact numbers over here. They have been beautifully put up by the efforts of community. You see so many travelers, more than 500 travelers involved in it. You see more than 50 women empowered. They have been had the chance of creating something for themselves and taking it to the next level for themselves and their families. Then you see revenue generated through Astrostays. And I must say, these numbers have doubled this year, going 2024, and the season is still running. Season usually it gets over by 15th of October in Ladakh, because the winters come in and that's how the summers are just on its end. And you see the increase in the footfall coming to these regions, to these places. You see the revenue distribution part of it. If you see, so again, now if we talk about astrotourism, it should have just been, majority of its part should have come from the skies itself. But that wasn't the case. 40% of the revenue, it came from stargazing activities for sure, because people are more intrigued of knowing what is there, what are the planets that you see. Okay, Andromeda galaxy nearest to it. Okay, see, these are the clusters and constellations. But you see, the distribution is not just restricted to it. It's 43% of the local handicraft that you create, or the local souvenirs that you make for travelers. And of course, the 17% of it was from local cuisine. And this has come up from our personal experience that we see, not just figures that we have come up with, but from the journey of 2019 to this year. It has been something that we were so excited about and that we have put up for everyone. For every model that we see, any of the model that we see, actually, I would say it is a series of steps that you go through, right? There are so many steps involved in it. There are so many ifs and buts involved in it. And I would say, working with the remote regions, working in those remote regions, working with the local communities, it's not an easy job. It takes a lot of your effort. It takes a lot of your understanding with them and their understanding with you to come up with something so beautifully put up, or so made up, or something that is come up with such a elegance to the entire world. So we follow a series of steps. Of course, you identify a destination that should be good, that should have a clear sky, that should have minimum or no pollution, light pollution at all. It should be at a height but accessible for travelers to come up with. These are the areas or the elements that you look for to be able to identify a destination. You come up with baseline assessment, and you go, you make the locals understand what exactly you're going to do. You make them understand the benefits of it. You also make them understand the cons of it. So pros and cons both comes in its way. Cons can be, if you're not taking care of it, you might just end up having travelers who might not understand the entire thing. It might bleed into any of the conflicts. So they understand the beauty of it, they understand the sensitivity of it, and that's the main step that you follow while going through any of the model that is going to be put up in action. You mobilize the community. Of course, you have done your part of making them understand. You mobilize them, you train them, you provide skills to them. But you provide skills in such a manner that it's not just the scientific part you are telling them, but bringing the best out of them, the bringing the treasure that they have uphold from so many years into them. You create ownership into it. You tell them the maintenance model. You tell them the good parts of having this place. You tell them the as basic as taking care of your telescope, the infrastructure that you have, taking care of the cleanliness that you might provide in your stay, or the beauty of providing the cuisine that you will be sending, or making your travelers eat for your dinner and everything. So you create sense of ownership into them, and that's how they feel, okay, this is our place. This is not something that has been forced upon us. This is something of our own, and that comes from their within. They take care of it their own, and this just goes on for many, many, many years. And then you finally, of course, generate revenue and you reinvest. For any of the business to sustain, you have to reinvest. You generate revenue, you keep some part to yourself, and then you reinvest, making the infrastructure better, you make the facilities better, you make the entire experience better. You replicate the same things. It can be in any of the terms, but you reinvest and you make the best out of the revenue that you have created and create opportunities for yourself. This is one of the tourist information center that you have. People can come, they can have information about it, they can know more about it. So one of the things that we have always focused on is more than quantity, it's the quality that matters. You don't need hundreds of people coming to your sessions. You don't need thousands of people coming to your sessions. If they come, of course, it's good. But then you also take care of the community. You take care of the sensitivity of the entire thing that you're doing there. So the quality of people who understand the entire thing, do you understand the very bits of these tourism activities that we are doing? That's the main idea. And this is the place where everything happens, tourists coming in and then sharing their bits of every experience that they want to have, and we share the parts of it. This is the monastery that we have. This is Phang Monastery. This is very near to Leh, and this is the the 700 years old monastery that you saw in the beginning of the pictures. This was the place that the entire magic is happening at, and of course, you can see this is such a big monastery in there. Any of the monastery, I will just give you one of the example of how trustworthy or how a community can trust you. Any of the monastery in Ladakh, or I am sure in other parts as well, they open till 6:30 in the evening. This is the monastery that opens till 8, not for everyone, just for the travelers who are coming for Cosmo Hub. And that's the kind of trust that you build with them. And that's the kind of trust that they have in you, that they can keep their sacred doors open for you just for that half an hour session or 40-minute session that you want to have. So that's the charm, that's the beauty you bring in out in people and the community and in yourself also. You see the difference when you are just involving yourself in these activities. This is one of the picture that you see, the cliff that you see, that's called Gombo Ranjan. Gombo Ranjan is the most sacred cliff in Ladakh. People, they just go and then just visit this site, this landscape, and they are fulfilled in terms of spirituality. And this particular picture that you see with such beautiful sky, this is in Zanskar region. Zanskar is the most remotest part of Ladakh. The area where the roads are still constructing, there has been no light, and the development is coming, but slowly. That's the most beautiful landscape that you could get while it is still raw, and the tourists are still coming up. Our story at a glance, when you see these ladies, when I talk about these SHGs and the entire thing, the entire setup, these ladies have been a key part. I've just had put two pictures in it, but there are many more to it. There are many more faces that have come up with. So the lady on right, you see, she is a local school teacher, and she has never held a remote other than a TV remote in her hand. And the pictures that you saw in the starting of the entire deck, so she was the one who was taking care of telescope, of course, along with the other ladies as well. So to bring out that interest, to bring out that that ignition in them to start something, and then have that independence of themselves, that's the beauty of tourism that we create. So it's not just the nerds. I'm so sorry if somebody is hurt by that, but no nerds, no amateur astronomers or professional astronomers, no one. They have been dealing with just travelers like you and me, who are part of the entire tourism industry. They just want to have an experience, but not just the experience that they take, but also experience of their lifetime, where they are immersed in, of course, the all the elements that we have mentioned in it. These are the recent pictures of the travelers that we have had come from all parts of the world. They have come from India, and few pictures that we have put up here for you all. Some of the day activities at Cosmo Hub. So this is a night activity that you usually do, but this is more of a hub that you have for yourself. So why not utilize it in its maximum potential? So these are the few day activities that you have, and you bring in travelers from all over the world. So you have cuisine over there, you have cooking experiences over there that brings out the naturality of the place. You have documentary sessions over there where people can be a part of it, and they can just immerse in the entire experience that you are giving. This is a small cafeteria that has been set up there. And then finally, the end picture where you see a monk over there, and he is standing and he is looking at what exactly is happening, because he just wants to understand but has no clue about it. So you kind of, you are bringing everyone together, irrespective of their, the profession that they have, irrespective of their genders, and irrespective of the experience that they have had from their back. And there's a small video that I would like to play. If you would just allow me a minute, I would just stop sharing this. And by the time, if you have something, you can put up in your questions, and I would be more than happy to address them as well.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, if you do have any questions or comments for Samar, please feel free to drop them in the chat for us to ask her. Samar, we have a question for you while you work on your video. Are there
Yes.
any like family activities or programs geared towards children, younger generations? How do you engage with the youth?
How do we engage with the younger generation?
Yes.
When we do the astronomy sessions.
So just when they show up, when they're there.
So that's the most, I think that's the most beautiful part of it. And then that's also the most, tricky part as well, because kids are very curious and they always have a lot of questions. And they're also, of course, in their learning phase. They're somewhere in schools, they have heard about this planet, they have heard about this galaxy, they have heard about these things. The basic approach that we go through is make them sit. We have an audio visual session where we make them understand that these are the things that you have been studying in your school, and
Mm,
these are the sessions that we will, be showing you here. Then of course they won't understand the technicality of it, but we just give them a brief. Okay, so this is what you study and this is what the real life picture you will be seeing. And
mhm.
then when we take them for the telescope sessions, when the stargazing sessions are happening, you just give them a basic and very minimal, the technical part, and just give them the pictorial view of it. They're more than happy and they are just intrigued by it. And they are the ones, we have to stretch our sessions not just to 3 hours or 4 hours, but it can extend to many many more hours. But I think the basic thing that we have always ended up with kids are just, answering their curious questions, and then just making them understand the practical, aspect of, or the practical image of what they have been studying in their textbooks.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll just quickly share, if it is okay. Is it visible?
Yep, we see your window there.
Yes. This is a small video we have of Astrostays. Let me know if you see it. Is it visible?
It is, and we can hear it.
Yes. So enjoy the video. This is from the remotest village, as I mentioned. This is Man village, and this is a small setup that we call Astrostays at Man. Please enjoy.
पे हमारा 4 लेडी लोग और मैं, हम लोगों को एक टेलीस्कोप ऑपरेट करने की ट्रेनिंग दिए थे। 3 दिन का था वो। तो वहाँ पे हम लोग साइंटिस्ट थोड़ा ज्ञान लें और टेलीस्कोप कैसे हैंडल करना है। इस गांव में काफी टूरिस्ट आता है, तो टेलीस्कोप के जरिए हम उनको कुछ स्टार और कुछ प्लेनेट दिखा सकें।
Tiang ada lara si met garder sala dola si tuen du pa zi di cinta tendari tuen du pa tiang yong amin le tiang res pa yong ada yong pa yong yang tu tong ni ta cha pa
This was when Astrostays came into picture, like the initial part of it. And I would also like you to have a view of how it evolved and how the entire, the picture came out to be. Just enjoy one more video and let me know if you can see it.
Beautiful images, Samar. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. And just, while we go to the question and answers round, I would just like to, you can still see my screen, right?
Well, we see your camera. Just, we see you.
Just the camera. Just
Yes.
a second.
And I will say, Samar, unfortunately, we don't have enough time for Q&A, although we do have plenty of amazing questions. Could you, for us, share your contact information with your email address in the chat for us, or maybe we can share that in a follow-up email to our members here and everybody who attended, that they could address any of their questions to you at a future time. Is that okay?
Definitely, Michael, that can be done. I'll share my email and you can reach out to us. And I'll also share Astrostays email where you can reach out to us for any of the questions you have or anything that you want to know or learn about.
Terrific. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
So just, just putting the last slides together, I think this was one of the most beautiful highlight we have had, and we have Megan with us in audience as well. We have had the opportunity of hosting Megan this year. She was one of our initial travelers who have come up to Cosmo Hub this year, and she came here on a project where she was documenting few of the stories for her project, and that's how we came into interaction with the ladies there with the session at Cosmo Hub. And it was a great pleasure hosting you there, and that's how we started with the Cosmo Hub, and finally the session is still going on. And just putting everything together, if I have to just put two or three lines in the end for everyone, I think this the the wider picture of astro-based tourism or nature-based tourism, we call it, or the dark sky experience, if I just break it into pieces, this is a beautiful human designed entire session that we have, or human design process we have, where you just not do the stargazing, but you are involved with the 90% of the main things that you do with the local communities over there. And we usually say when the world sleeps, that's where we start our work, because for us it is still a day. We haven't called it a day at night when we start our sessions. And I think that's the beauty of it, where people from all different backgrounds, they come together and have the experience of their lifetime, and they just come up with the stories. And that's a platform that you create for everyone, where you can be a part, immersely involved in any of the entire element or the entire activity that you're taking part of. You're going to a region, you're eating their food, you're living their local lifestyle, and not just restricted to just a night activity, but make it a 2 or 3 days activity where you're doing the farming experience with the family, where you're doing the daily chores of their lifestyles, where you're going with with the host to the monastery. You're eating your food at night, you are eating the same food that they are plucking from their organic fields. You are having this session at night, you are just discussing the local folklores, and then you're creating an atmosphere for yourself and the fellow travelers who have come to your place. And
Mhm.
that's how you bring in the beauty of the entire the most leading, I would say, form of tourism that is more prevalent in world, the globe worldwide. And that's how the astrotourism is coming into picture for us, and that has been the journey for us for since 2019. It is still evolving, it has always been evolving. And I think that's we are working on, that's what we are working on, and that's what we are trying for everyone to come up with and have that experience of their lifetime, and have that that essence of a region that is beyond the stars, beyond the cosmos, and beyond the scientific manner of it. And just immerse yourself in that entire thing.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Samar, for your time this evening there, and we appreciate all your wisdom, your experiences that you shared. It sounds like an amazing place to be and to visit. So we hope to learn more from you in the future. Of course, again, everybody, we'll get you Samar's information so that you can ask her follow-up questions. But please visit their website at Astrostays. Um, with all that, everyone, thank you again for joining us wherever you are in the world. We appreciate your support and your time and all that you do to protect dark skies and support Dark Sky International. Until next month, we'll see you all very soon. Thank you.